Elected officials should listen to their constituents. Seems an obvious statement, and yet it is one of the most difficult things I've grappled with in 8 years in office. How do I actually do that? Some people may say, well, you just listen to what the majority wants, but majorities are notoriously bad at protecting the rights of minorities. And as an elected official, you're not just a representative of the majority, you are a trustee of the minority's rights. And sometimes that means doing more for the minorities because of the imbalance of power between the majority and the minority. But all that aside, even if I were to do what the majority wanted, how do I tell what the majority is? In local government, there isn't polling. I can't tell who the majority is, what people want by and large. All I can tell is what the people want who speak the most loudly on an issue. And usually those are the folks who are most passionate about that particular issue. And it changes from issue to issue to issue. So when someone says, I've listened to the community and the community wants this, I am skeptical. I don't know if that means it's the 3 neighbors who talked to this person, if it's the 10 people who emailed, if it's the 100 people who signed a petition, if it's the 200 people commenting on Facebook and Nextdoor and the local paper. I just don't know. And I certainly don't know if they are representative of the 60,000 or 100,000 people at large, because just by the numbers, it's a drop in the bucket. And if you're only making decisions on an issue because more people are advocating to you on one side than the other, then you are going to be making poor decisions. Because though all the people talking about that issue are very likely not proportionate to what the public at large wants. And the other issue is, how do we even know it's a good decision? During COVID, when we were discussing school reopenings very early in COVID, the majority of people talking to me were telling me, do not reopen schools. Don't do it. It will lead to death, mass death. And yet we had to have those discussions and those decisions, and we had to open schools. The process took so long anyway, that by the time we got there, public opinion had turned. But the decisions had to be made at a time when most people didn't want schools to be opened. That is representative of what most decisions are like. Process takes a while. And when you start talking about things publicly early in the process, people may not have had time to come to terms with what the outcome and consequences are. So what elected officials need to do is develop a consistent decision-making framework. Yeah, you have to talk to as many people as possible. And hearing their stories and their concerns is what gives you the insight into what the impacts of your decision are going to be. But you also have to take into account the goals, the logistics, your own values, why people elected you other than somebody else. And putting all those together in this package, you develop a framework for making decisions that you can apply consistently. You should be making decisions consistently, decision to decision. You're not totally outcome agnostic, but you are more process-centric than outcome-centric, because that's the way you make decisions that are predictable for everybody.